Well, good morning. I'm Reverend Vaughan Amaré here at Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living. We are a community of people dedicated to using spiritual and practical principles to create lives we want to live. Northern Lights Center for Spiritual Living offers practical and spiritual tools to make positive changes in our lives. Our promise is to reveal, inspire, uplift, celebrate, and magnify our greatness. Please join me for our acknowledgement that our presence here on the traditional and unceded lands of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish and Coastal Salish peoples. Both of those groups became part of the Muckleshoot tribes, recognized by the federal government. These people are still here, and we join with them and they continue to honor and bring to light their ancient heritage. We seek to resist the erasure of indigenous histories as we work towards honoring and inviting the truth. In a similar fashion, we acknowledge that so much of what we know in our country today, our culture, economic growth and development, throughout history and across time, has been made possible by the labor of enslaved Africans and their ascendants who suffered the horrors of transatlantic trafficking of their people, chattel slavery, and Jim Crow. We also name the Asian and Chicano people who toiled with little recognition. We are indebted to their labor and sacrifice. And we acknowledge the tremors of that violence throughout the generations and the resulting impacts that can still be felt today.
I won't go down anymore.
Please join me for our opening song, In This Very Room, by Ron and Carol Harris. In this very room, there's quite enough love for all the world. And in this very room, there's quite enough joy for all the world. And there's quite enough peace and quite enough power to walk through our every fear. For Spirit, sweet Spirit, is in this very room. In this very room.
Stephanie asked if somebody could let her in, but I don't see.
I had that in,
Good morning. This is the time again, seems like it comes around once a week, where we take a short period to center ourselves, to allow our bodies, our minds, and spirits to just relax and be at ease. And so I just invite us to get as comfortable as we can, find that sweet spot of comfort, and allow your body to just be supported by the chair that you're in, or if you're standing by the floor, or whatever is supporting you. allow that to support your body. And as we take in a few nice, deep, cleansing breaths, breaths that is the breath of God breathing in and feeding each and every cell of our body. So let us take a nice, deep breath in and release. Another nice, deep breath in and release. One more deep breath in. And hold it. And release. And today, I'm going to invite us to think of something that really, really challenges us and makes us very uncomfortable. One thing. I know there's probably more than one, but just find that first thing that comes to mind. We saw a video yesterday where this woman was sitting on the edge of the door of an airplane ready to fall out in a tandem jump. Is that your discomfort? Jumping out of an airplane? Is your discomfort maybe speaking up in a crowd? Or speaking in front of a crowd? What does that feel like? Where in your body do you feel that discomfort? It could be the head, the throat, the stomach. Allow yourself to feel that. What are the feelings that are coming up? Is it fear? Anguish? Anxiety? And now, just think of what it would be like to cross that line, to get up in front of a crowd of people and speak, to actually free fall from that airplane, allow your whole body just to be free, and cross that line of fear, cross that line of discomfort. That discomfort could also be something real minor. Only you know what your discomforts are. But we can cross that line from discomfort into comfort if we face our challenges. Face them head on. So just imagine that accomplishment, that feat that you have beaten by facing your discomforts. Recognize it and embrace it. And allow yourself to be free. And knowing that you can practice this anytime. Anytime you come up against something, up against this wall, you can allow yourself to set yourself free. So with that, I invite you to just keep that in mind. Allow yourself to come back to the room, open your eyes, look at your toes, your fingers, whatever. Become present in the now. And so it is. Ah, there we are. And here's our lovely declaration. Okay, I will say it to everybody and then they can. Our declaration is, we are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. And one more time. We are an expanding and loving community working in a field of infinite potential. Okay, I have two little segments of the reading today. And the first,
It's still showing up there.
we've got two things going here.
Isn't technology marvelous?
Technology.
Isn't technology marvelous?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, or why is it that if you're trying to do the same thing every single week, it doesn't work?
It doesn't do the same thing for you.
Yeah.
I'm doing it the same way, it's just not.
Yeah.
Because it updated.
I know, I've got a thing now where Google is really tiny and I can't read anything.
Oh no.
Figure it out when I come back over there. Because you must open another share screen. No. Okay, anyway. We have technology gremlins in the house. So the first one is part of it came out of a book, and I spoke of that video we watched yesterday, and I'm going to send a link out to that. It's a TED Talk, but I just wanted to read a little bit out of her book. Her name, from Lovey Ajayi Jones. The Jones really doesn't fit in there, but and this is, the part is about, who we are. And it says, we fear our full selves. We are afraid of who we are. In all our glory and grit, we're constantly searching for that person, or forgetting that person, or repressing that person, instead of standing strong in who that person is. Being fully ourselves is necessary for us because it serves as a grounding force. It finds that's the case for me. There is a lot to be afraid of in this world because in general, things can be a wreck and out there. This print is very small. And none of us need to be afraid of who we are in our whole personhood, because who has the time? This standing in our full self isn't about being an immovable person that beliefs are stuck in a rock. It's not that can't nobody tell you shit, okay? Or that you're not able to admit when you're wrong. Instead, it's about having a strong sense of identity. It's about knowing you belong in the world just as much as anyone else. It's about taking up the space you earned simply by being born. And now this is a poem, right? Who's it by, Mother Teresa?
It's credited to Mother
Oh,
Teresa, I don't know that
It's credited to Mother
by her.
Teresa, and we have a song that was made from this poem. It's, you might have heard this before. People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and some true enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you. Be honest and frank anyway. What you spend years building, someone could destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow. Do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough. Give the world the best you've got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it is between you and your God. It was never between you and them anyway. And this was inscribed on the wall of Mother Teresa's children's home in Calcutta. And so it is. Okay.
Okay, you can't see it because the screenshot is not showing, so you just have to listen and remember what you can. This month's chant, I know there's more to life than what I see.
Oh, I see.
I show there's more inside that I set free. I flow with all of life and more can be expressed when I say yes. My every heartbeat, my every breath, my every question, my every quest, my every longing, my every guess is my place for yes. So please sing along as you can.
If you can.
I know there's more to life than what I see. I show there's more inside that I set free. I flow with all of life and more can be expressed when I say yes. My every heartbeat, my every breath, my every question, my every quest, my every longing, my every guess is my place for yes. Now it's you. You know there's more to life than what you see. You show there's more inside that you set free. You flow with all of life and more can be expressed when you say yes. Your every heartbeat, your every breath, your every question, your every quest, your every longing, your every guess is your place for yes. Now we go to we. We know there's more to life than what we see. We show there's more inside than we set free. We flow with all of life and more can be expressed when we say yes. Our every heartbeat, our every breath, our every question, our every quest, our every longing, every guess is a place for yes. Now we come back to I. I know there's more to life than what I see. I show there's more than I set free. I flow with all of life, and more can be expressed when I say yes. My every heartbeat, my every breath, my every question, my every quest, my every longing, my every guess is my place for yes. So today's talk is about getting comfortable with discomfort. So this is perfect. We are getting to have our technical support completely experiencing discomfort because our technology
Amen.
is not entirely up to standards.
It's running.
Oh, you didn't.
No, I have to unplug it now because it's too.
For a couple
Well, I
seconds
can-
to
I can-
reset, or
Yeah,
I know it takes.
I can run the song. I don't know if they see it, but because we have two things going here. Okay, I'm going to this here. Okay. So, tell them they may, are they seeing it? Oh, this is what you want, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want it from there. Okay.
You had it.
You got it? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Now it should be. Plug it in.
It's on.
There's two pieces.
Today's talk, as you already know from the preview, is getting comfortable with discomfort. This month, we're exploring paradox. People may be familiar with the notion that Ernest Holmes described that we are human beings. We are having a human experience, but at the core of us is our spiritual identity. Now, how do we have this spiritual identity at our core when so much stuff happens? I mean, yesterday, the world is standing back watching another war unfold. Hamas launches bombs against the Israelis. It's very difficult. One of the things that can be challenging in this set of teachings is the notion that everything's good. There's good at the heart of everything. And I don't know about you. I think that there's something that can almost feel pathological about an insistence on good in the face of things that seem inherently unjust. One of the things that here at the center, I've made a point to talk about the land that we stand on. When I was a kid being taught about American history, the settlers were glorified. And the Indians, and I'll put that in quotes, the Indians were vilified. These poor innocent settlers were attacked for no reason by these violent Indians. And, people came and just wanted to spread good. I was raised in the Catholic Church like Stephanie. And I don't know about Stephanie's experience, but we would regularly at our church have a missionary come and speak to us and tell about the glory of bringing God to godless people. And I look back now with some
Trepidation?
well, not trepidation, it's almost shame is a better way to capture the feeling of it. The amazing amount of hubris, the amazing amount of just majestic self-inflation that my understanding of the divine is the right understanding of the divine, and if you don't have my understanding of the divine, let me give it to you, because what you've got is not very good.
Wow, I love that.
And not very good is not even what was characterized. People were characterized as evil. People were characterized as heathen. People were characterized as beyond hope. But these missionaries went there to deliver hope. Praise Jesus. Yesterday, on television, the movie came up, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And I don't know how many people have seen it. Okay, I see Phyllis.
4 times, I think now.
Okay, we've seen it. I don't know about Stephanie. I'm not seeing what you two, have you seen it? In the story, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, it starts on the life of a woman, Evelyn. And Evelyn immigrated to this country, and her ideals for what would happen here in this country sank to the point where what she has, her life, is running a laundromat and doing dry cleaning associated with a laundromat. And it's kind of seeing that everything possible in her life seems to have gone wrong. And as the movie goes on, she realizes her husband has requested a divorce. She's known for years that her father just doesn't think she's good enough. She cannot get along with her daughter. At one point, she has an argument with her daughter saying, you know, we have a family plan and it's free and you don't even call me. They're being audited by the IRS. So a lot of the action happens at an IRS office. And the person that she's working with is portrayed by Jamie Lee Curtis. And Jamie Lee is just saying, you know, this is terrible what you're doing. I give all of this background because I'd like us to take a moment and consider any time that we feel like things have not been going our way. Now, how hard is that to imagine or get to that place?
2 minutes ago.
Okay.
It's very easy.
I've shared before that one of the probably most common human experiences is the experience of disappointment, is the experience of things not showing up the way we want them to show up. Movie, I would propose it's a map for what's possible in our lives. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to be universe jumping, although if you find that you're able to universe jump, good for you. And please let me know what that's like. In the story, Evelyn has her kind of mousy, lacking confidence husband suddenly present himself in a way that is totally different and totally foreign. He lets her know that he's come universes across time and space to her because he believes she's the one who can bring an end to mounting difficulties, to the mounting threat of destruction for all of the multiple universes. Now that's a big switch, isn't it? It's a big switch up. To go from being rock bottom to having the person that was asking for the divorce saying to her, you can make all the difference. And yet, what if that's what the divine is calling forward from us? That each one of us is a place through which great differences can happen. This month we're talking about paradox. How two things can exist at one time. That we can be both magnificent and just small and insignificant. This idea has been captured for generations. Do you remember this quote by William Blake? To see the world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wild flower, to hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour. Sometimes we get so convinced by the bigness of our problems and the smallness of ourselves. Getting comfortable with discomfort is about seeing both and. It's about seeing that, in fact, in relation to the whole universe, how big are we? How many people have contemplated on just the nature of infinity, on the nature of abundance? that if you go to a beach, there are more sands than it's possible for you to count. Now I know that calculators can calculate how many grains of sand are on the planet. But the calculation runs hours and hours and hours and hours. If we think about all of time, when we were visiting with friends yesterday, the one said, oh, we're watching these documentaries. And we're finding that they're discovering the things that they have launched into space are suggesting that the black hole isn't really how it all started, because if that's how it all started, there are things in the universe that are too old to account for that story. Have you ever found yourself wishing time would go by a little faster? And yet, over the course of our whole lives, how quickly time can also fly. I remember we had a roommate who accounted for the differential speed of time in a way that finally made sense. You know, when you're a little kid and your next birthday is coming, it seems like a gazillion years away. Do you remember? I mean, I'm 2 and I'm going to be 3 and I'm going to be 3, and how exciting that was. The amount of time that it took between 2 and 3 seemed forever. How many adults here have the experience that going from the age that they were now to the age that they were last year has flown by?
No.
That you just cannot compare it with that experience when you were little. I am 4.5. Do you remember that? When you would characterize, you would break out how close you were. I'm 15.5. I'm a half year away from being able to drive. Or 17.5, a half year from being able to buy a beer. It reverses a little bit as you get older, because it's like I'm 99, I'm almost 100. There comes up that same kind of, I'm 99 and 1/4 years old. There's that same kind of reversal to a sense of wonder at our years, at our time. So 3 things I'd like us to think about for contending with discomfort, to get comfortable with discomfort, are: what does it have to teach us? Doing something unexpected, and expressing our values. So those are the three big points. What do we have to learn? Doing something unexpected, and identifying and expressing our values. How many times do we think that what we have to do in the world should come easily? That we should just be able to do it. And there should be very little effort involved, because if it was truly part of us, it would just fold out naturally. But think about any skill that you've developed. Didn't you work at it? I'm back. Oh, I'm muted. I'm back. So didn't you find that you had to practice certain things to become really good? I mean, I'm not great at the guitar, but it did take me time to figure out how to play it. I didn't just pick it up. I'm not like a musical prodigy. Now, Michael shared about a 3-year-old, I think, who, was it a 3-year-old, a 9-year-old?
No, it wasn't 9, it was younger than that.
And what skill did he have? He was able to get like a perfect score. He has like an IQ of 190. How many people here, how many people do you know are automatically that good? One of the things that happens is that we build skills. Stephanie learned how to sew. It wasn't something that she just could do. It wasn't just, here's the sewing machine, and Stephanie was like automatically one with that sewing machine. Reba, who's become expert on engaging with questions, had to work at learning how to deal with the platform. It wasn't something that just you picked it up and you're like, I can do this all perfectly. One of the elements about discomfort is that we have constructed a false scenario where everything should be easy. And if it isn't easy, it isn't for us.
Yes.
And that if it takes some effort or if we have to put in time for it, then this really isn't ours to do. Well, in the story, Everything Everywhere All at Once, one of the things that you discover as the story goes on is that Evelyn and all of the multiple Evelyns across all of the multiple universes, that every time Evelyn made a different choice, a new universe sprang up. And this is a theory of quantum reality, that there are multiple realities, that the one part of me that didn't get married went on and led a very different life from the me on this planet and this plane that did get married. And what her alpha husband, who comes to the universe and says, you can do it, he has this aha, and he's like, I realize the reason that you are able to do all of this is that you've experienced more failure than any other Evelyn in all of the universes.
Really? Dang.
And in that experience of those failures, you have a capacity to connect with all of those other options. So she was a natural. I mean, it did take a minute to warm up to figure it out, but she was able to make connections, to pull in capacities that she needed in order to fulfill the mission that her alpha husband, her alpha Waymond, had said was possible. I want to be like an alpha Waymond for all of you and ask you, how do you look at your failures as doorways? How do you look at them as openings rather than as closing doors? We all know that when a bone is broken, when that bone reconstructs, it's firmer than the unbroken bone. We've heard, and we may hate the idea, that our broken heart is able to hold more than the heart that's never allowed itself to open and be broken. So one of the pieces about discomfort is that it has something for us to learn. Spend the time to be open to that, to ask the question, rather than, oh, I failed again. Thomas Edison is credited with having an amazing capacity for failure. How many different ways he tried to figure out the light bulb. It's not like on the third one he said, I failed, I can't do this. He tried this material, this material, this material, this material, this material. There are lots of people like that. Lucille Ball, who many people may know, she was on television for years. She was a woman ahead of her time because she was running a movie studio. She was running things at a time when women were not perceived as capable of doing that. It wasn't just instant overnight success. She kept pushing through her failure. What does discomfort have to teach us? What can we learn from it? The second thing is doing something unexpected. Now, Michael shared the ideas from really the person who inspired a lot of today's talk. Lovey Ajayi Jones spoke specifically in the TED Talk about getting comfortable with discomfort. And she talks about having her own dreams. As a little girl, she envisioned becoming a doctor. And she's in college. And she has her first chemistry test and she gets a D. And she said, that was my last D because I went to my counselor and I said, you know what, I don't think the doctor gig is really mine. I don't even like hospitals. How is this doctor deal going to be working for me when what's often thought of as a central part of doctoring is not where I'd even like to be? She took other jobs. It was years before she would claim her identity as a writer. How much time does it take us to develop? So, Lovey Ajayi Jones talked, and you heard Michael talk about it, about stepping up to our fears. She described herself as a Capricorn who likes to have her feet on solid ground. So what did she do? For her 30th birthday, she tandem jumped out of a plane. It's not what people expected from Lovey. It's not what Lovey expected from herself. I mean, I have to be very honest. I grew up in a time where there was nobody who was in a visible way queer. There was nobody who was in a visible way non-binary. As I got older, there were people who were questionable in terms of their gender identity. There was Pat on Saturday Night Live.
Oh.
And you know, Pat was, wasn't really clear.
It's Pat.
And Star Trek The Next Generation had a couple of characters like that were non-binary. I mean, I never watched a show on television where two men were kissing romantically. So to follow my heart, I had to do something unexpected. I had to step outside. And believe me, I tried to fit in. I mean, I got married, and I remember my sister-in-law saying, "You look really stressed out." And I didn't have a good way to explain why I was stressed out. It was supposed to be this glorious, magnificent day. and yet something didn't feel right. My roommate from college was one of the people in the wedding party, and Chuck was gay, but Chuck hadn't come out to me. But all during college, when we were rooming together, I would sit and gaze and watch Chuck getting dressed. It should have been a clue. It should have been a clue. But I didn't have enough pieces of information to make it a clue. So stepping out into things that are unfamiliar, stepping out and doing something unexpected may be exactly what we need to find out who exactly we are. The third thing that I want to talk about with respect to getting comfortable with discomfort is finding and expressing our values. Lovey described that one of her values is contributing to a community of people who are committed to making the world a better place. She also listed honesty, integrity, and shea butter, because she believes that people should be having lovely skin. What are our values? With the course that we just finished, I'm reading Michelle Obama's Becoming. And one of the things that Michelle wrote about that I wanted to share a little bit is one of the values that she started to embody as a professional. I was on the other side of recruiting after I got hired at Sidley. My goal was to bring in law students who were not just smart and hard driving, but also something other than male and white. There was exactly one other African American woman on the recruiting team, a senior associate named Mercedes Lang. Mercedes was about 10 years older than I was and became a dear friend and mentor. Like me, she had 2 Ivy League degrees and routinely sat at tables where nobody looked like her. The struggle, we agreed, was not to get used to it or to accept it. In meetings on recruitment, I argued incessantly, and I'm sure brazenly, in some people's opinion, that the firm cast a wider net when it came to finding young talent. The long-held practice was to engage students from select groups of law schools, the places where most of the firm's lawyers had earned their degrees. But it was a circular process. One, generations of lawyers hiring new lawyers whose life experience mirrored their own, leaving little room for diversity of any sort. In fairness, this was a problem that was nationwide and internationally. Trying to help remedy the imbalance, I pushed for us to consider law students coming from other state schools and from historically black colleges like Howard University. When the recruiting team gathered in the conference room in Chicago with a pile of student resumes for review, I objected anytime a student was automatically dismissed for having a B on a transcript or having gone to a less prestigious undergraduate program. You see, if we were serious about bringing in minority lawyers, we'd have to look more holistically. We'd need to think about how they'd used whatever opportunities life had afforded them, rather than measuring them simply by how far they made it on an elitist academic ladder. The point wasn't to lower the firm's standards. It was to realize that by sticking with the most rigid old school way of evaluating a new lawyer's potential, we overlooked all sorts of people who could contribute. We needed to interview more students before writing them off. She clearly identified her value, and her values were things that emerged. What are our own emerging values? In the movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The character who seemed at the beginning the most kind of small, insignificant, and perhaps even incapable was Evelyn's husband, Waymond. But Waymond said to her, and said to many, things that were really illustrative of the values that he held and that transported him through his life. In the movie, he describes at one point in the scene, you're all fighting because you're scared and confused. How often do we see the violence? How often do we see what's upsetting and we ascribe ill intent to those actions? Whereas Waymond's character looked to the heart of what people might be going through, and he held the space for their confusion and their fear. He went on to say, be kind, especially when we don't know what's going on. And then lastly, he said, bring joy to others. What are our values? Is kindness a value? Is open-mindedness a value? Is speaking truth a value? What are our values? And bring them forward in everything we do. Ernest Holmes had said, keep the doorway of your mind open. Feeling, thinking, communing with this life, know that it fills you with light and power. Brene Brown says, in these challenging moments of dissonance, we need to stay curious and resist choosing comfort over courage. It's brave to invite new information to the table, to sit with it and hear it out. So, in this invitation to transform the experience of discomfort and to let ourselves become comfortable with it, remember, discomfort has things to teach us. Discomfort can call us to do new things, and discomfort may remind us to stand in our values. And so it is.
Now this song doesn't have lyrics, so you have to just listen.
People are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. Forgive them anyway. Forgive them anyway. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. Be kind anyway. Be kind anyway. Be kind anyway. If you are honest and true, people may cheat you. People may cheat you. Be honest anyway. best you got anyway. Give the best you got anyway.